Hello everybody, I'm back again. This is our first ever video on this channel, which is gonna start a new series named How to Reaccess Your Chess by Jeremy Silman. In this series, I'm gonna show you diagrams from this book named How to Reaccess Your Chess. Okay, so goal of this series would be to make you understand what is the importance of imbalances and also to make you understand about uh, the plan making in chess. How can you create a plan without using imbalances? And another goal of this series is to make you look at chess positions more differently than before. Okay, so these are the goals for the series, and this is the part one. The goal for the part one and part two and part three, I want to clear that, is to tell you the uh, types of imbalances and importance of imbalance basically. Okay, so let's quickly dive into the part one and tell you each and every type of imbalance that can exist on the board and discuss half of them in this video and then move on to next part. So this is the first part. So let me quickly show you the list of imbalance. This is the list of imbalances. So types of imbalances in chess. The first imbalance is minor piece imbalance. Now what is minor piece? Minor piece are knights and bishop. The battle between them is known as minor piece imbalance. The pawn structure imbalance, it could be highly to explain this we should highly uh, uh, focus on the positions rather. So for example, if you don't know about IQP, you cannot understand this. Pawn structure are usually uh, structures which basically develops your game or develops the ideas in your position. You can understand this by positions that I will gonna show in the future videos. Space, you know, the amount of space controlled by our pawns is known as space. Okay, control of weakness in a position means control of weak squares, and basically file or diagonals is in this position is known as uh, control of weakness in a position's imbalance. So king safety is when the king safety is a very important part of the game. If you don't have king safety, what is the definition of not having king safety? It is when the square in front of your king are weak. This is the definition of unsafe king. So safe king, you can understand that. And control of an open file, it is related to rooks and bishop. Like we can also say control of an open file and a diagonal. Okay, this is also considered as imbalance as we are controlling the weak squares in a position. Okay, so material that you can understand by the word. And lead in development. What is lead in development? Lead in development is when more pieces are out in an opening. Okay, so initiative. Initiative means who has compensation and counterplay. Okay, this you can understand, compensation and counterplay. Just forget this initiative word. This is a bit fancy. You can just go with this. Okay, so we have found that what are types of imbalances. Now we are quickly going to dive into positions. Okay, this is the first position. Okay, oh, wait a second. Yeah, let's go to the position. So this is the first diagram, a very critical diagram. I am gonna hint you it is about the minor piece such as bishop and knight. So yeah, so what is superior minor piece? I'm gonna tell you. The superior minor piece is when a piece is controlling a lot of squares in compared to another minor piece. it is called a superior minor piece. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you a bit rules about the knight. The first rule of the knight is when a knight is bad, when knight is bad, is usually it is in your closer to your camp. Like I'm telling you the definition of a bad knight. Usually the bad knight is when it is uh, closer to your territory. For example, this knight is closer to the black's territory, so this knight would be considered as a bad knight. Means a defensive knight which has no future in the center. It is sometimes it's also important to put some defensive pieces, but here this is not working out for black. And another rule for the knight is whenever the pawn is 3 squares away from a knight, that pawn would harass the knight always. Look at this, pawn is harassing the knight. Okay, so this was the rules with the knight. So now I want to tell you how to initiate from your activity from your superior minor piece. So to initiate from your superior minor piece, you should look for the weaknesses. So can you look for the weaknesses in this position? Pause the video and find it. So weakness in this position is the a7 pawn, which is only protected by the rook, and queen cannot protect it because of rook b1. So how to create a plan? So the first instincts we can catch is playing queen here, but the problem is he has rook here and he will gain an open file. We should never ever give counterplay and open file to our opponents. Okay, this is what the thing that we should learn. Okay, that's the reason why this move doesn't work. We have to think a bit longer. Now can you think in this position that any another way in this position that we can attack that pawn and it is more safer and doesn't gives counterplay to the black pieces? So hope you try to find it. It is rook b1. Now rook b1 does this, like if he tries this, we are saying he will gain an open file. He takes, our queen is there. He won't get an open file, and then after this and this is winning. So this was the first critical diagram. The things I told you is two rules and principles of a bad knight. What is a unsuperior knight and what is a superior piece? Basically the bishop. And also I told you about tempo. What is tempo? And we should not give open file. I also introduce you from open file. Let's go to the next diagram. It is very critical also, so pay attention. So this is also about minor pieces. Here we can see our knight is very good. So it also tells about another rule, that if our knight is away from our position, basically our territory, it will become very good. Look at this knight. This knight is so good. Okay, so now we should look at the weaknesses. In this case, knight is helping us to cramp down the position of black pieces. So how can we create an attack over this weakness? This pawn is completely weak. Okay, so first instincts would be to play rook here. But problem with rook here is you can play rook b1, and after you take and this file is given to him, which can lead to some counterplay. That's the reason why we go with queen d4, and now rook can never go here. Now what will he play? He cannot do anything according to you. Like he cannot go rook here because we have even we can take. First of all, after takes, rook takes, and queen cannot go here, and this pawn is falling and everything is falling. So in this critical diagrams that shows that if your knight is away from your territory, it will become strong and take all the activity from the opponent position. In this case, black. Look at this, bishop is bad. And another thing also tells about the space. The space is also very important in chess. It tells that space can lead into destruction of black pieces, and with the space plus knight, we can destroy the black opponent position. That's it. That's what he wants to. What this position wants to convey. Okay. So basically, another thing it wants to convey is never give an open file again. And also always try to create plan and make your rooks connected. This is what was the main crux of the diagram. Let's go to the other diagram. So this one is about pawn, pass pawn. And this diagram is not about the moves. It is just about understanding the power of pass pawn and piece coordination. So in this diagram, the writer of the How to Reaccess Your Chess wants to suggest that a pass pawn is a very powerful thing. We should always try to create them to gain some counterplay and to distract the pieces basically. Okay, and do not allowing the attack to happen. So basically we can use one pawn to distract the enemy pieces towards one side and create another counterplay on the another side. In this case we don't need another side counterplay. This pawn is very advanced, so we can just push and rook b8 and then bishop cross, and here these are some moves that is given, and takes and rook takes, and this is fine, means winning for us. Okay, so let's go to the next diagram. This is our last diagram. Okay, so this diagram is about space. As you can see, I'm gonna tell you what is the definition of space advantage. So let me quickly show you what is the definition of space advantage. So the definition of space advantage is when you are controlling enemy territory with your pawns or pieces, with normally with your pawns, is known as space. Now space advantage is when the opponent pieces are cramped due to your due to the control of squares. Okay, so in this case, how then like after you achieve a space advantage, and like means your opponent pieces are cramped and he cannot do anything and he has a weakness, you should, how can we initiate from it to get compensation, means compensation out of it? We should uh, so like after you have a space advantage, I tell you like crab pieces and weaknesses, we should try to initiate some pawn breaks. Okay, how can we initiate pawn break here? The weakness we see is g7. So how can we initiate our pawn break? Can we initiate our pawn break as fast as possible? Let me check. Oh, sorry, let us check. Pawn takes, pawn takes. Okay, bishop takes, knight takes. Okay, so knight takes and bishop takes, rook takes, and rook f7, protecting the pawn. And we go rook g1. After rook g1, it goes queen f6. Now we go queen h2. After queen h2, what will he do? He can push the pawn. No, he cannot. Not in this case. So he can go rook e7. Okay, after rook e7, what will he do? Rook e7, like let's say queen h4. We are trying to develop. Okay, means calculation is necessary whenever you are with your space advantage. Normally, it's more necessary in space advantage, as we in space advantage we have to create an attack and attack the weaknesses. So it needs a lot of calculation. So we should always ready to calculate in these kind of positions. So after this, what move could he do? Queen f8, he will try to run, and then after rook g6, he can go. He cannot go here. Like look at this. This is a brilliant sacrifice of the piece. Why it's brilliant? Because bishop takes, and then after rook takes, oh, sorry, f takes, and this is unamicable. So this was the power of the space. And usually when you have space, you try to create an attack. Another line here is here, here, and another line was rook h5, knight f8, rook h2, oh sorry, queen h2, and after queen h2, we don't see any counterplay, so this line is working for them. The another line is not working for them, in which we play queen here, but still it needs a lot of calculation. So what I would recommend, whenever you are doing a pawn break and you have a space advantage, to support that with another piece to get some extra protection, if you can do. Obviously, if you cannot do, you should go with the straight away. But if you don't, if you cannot do by neither, then you don't have a space advantage. So yeah, by supporting it, it will help you create more attack and more fastly and more effectively and efficiently, and it will also lead into less calculation. So basically, yeah, you can also go with that line if you like to calculate, but I would recommend to simplify. So here what will you do? He's cramped, obviously he cannot do any move. So we'll do this. We will do this, takes, and knight takes, and then we can go rook takes. Oh sorry, not rook takes, bishop takes, and bishop takes, and then rook takes. Now queen f6 doesn't work, as after this, like we can straight away go here and here, and this idea is unimitable. Another thing I will tell you in that line, the problem with that line was, after here takes, knight takes, bishop takes, rook takes, and after rook f7 was rook here, and here we cannot go here because he has queen h4. So that is also a major difference. Means that line is more complicated, we have to be very precise. But in this one, very simple. Let me show you the line again. Look here, on here, takes, knight takes, sorry, bishop takes, and then rook takes, rook here, and then queen f6. Sorry, oops. Then we can go queen h2 straight away. We are more faster now, just due to one move. And after here, we have extra tempo because they played a6. So after here, we can do this, and here doesn't have this square, so you have to go back. And after he goes back, we have this, and this is totally winning. It is mate in 10. So yeah, that was the point of this one. So basically, I told you minor pieces, weaknesses, a controller of an open file, what is the space advantage, and what are the rules regarding the space advantage. Like when we have a space advantage, we should try to create an attack over weaknesses or over the king. In this case, we attack the king, and we should look for the pawn breaks to do that. And we should always try to calculate the pawn break which involves supporting the pawn break. We should always do that pawn break which has which involves the protection, like extra support towards the break. And then you can then only you can calculate the line in which the break involves straight away. Like in this case, I will show you. Like in this case, we try to do break straight away, but we should always consider the move which involves supporting the break. That's what I want to convey. And that's it for the video. Hope you like it and also enjoyed the explanation. You can comment the changes if made that should be made in my explanation. Thank you very much.